Hello everyone, in this video I'll be covering the very best subclass mods in Baldur's Gate 3's Mod Manager. 2024 has brought a lot of great mods and I'm excited to see what 2025 brings, but I'll be recapping the very best subclass mods in case you haven't seen them and just going over them in a bit of detail. So as you can see here, we got some cool subclasses for things like the Sorcerer, like Gravity Sorcery, Cosmic Sorcery, and even the Vengeful Farmer. But I guess the first one I want to start off with is the Ker subclasses made by Sathos, who is the creator of the Arcane Vanguard mod. This actually adds 4 new subclasses to the game, and they're all quite interesting. This has the Harrier Rogue, Oath of Pestilence Paladin, Way of the Anti-Mage Monk, and the Pact of the Dual Soul Warlock. Now, in terms of, I guess, all of these, they're very unique. The Dual Soul Warlock is interesting in the fact that you pledge your self to the spirit of a mage lost in a Fugu plane, and you lend your power in exchange for sharing your physical being with them. So you get yourself the Soul Swap Warrior and Mage, letting you switch between your two souls, giving you not only like some nice weapon attacks with the warrior phase, but also you get some cool spells as well. This is a fun one, and one of the 4 great subclass mods that is included in this. It also has Mistress Spells compatibility, which is amazing. But yeah, this is a really great mod. I'll just give a brief introduction to each one of these. The Way of the Anti-Mage Monk, as the name implies, you're about taking down spellcasters. I actually just did a build on this. It's on my channel, so you can check that out if you want to see it in further detail. But you get some cool benefits against spellcasters. You can silence them, you can blind them. You can also pull them towards yourself to do your punches and kicks with. So I love this monk. It's a whole lot of fun. The Oath of Pestilence Paladin, it's kind of about undead, disease, and poison. This is an interesting one. It's a little bit different than what you normally expect from a paladin. I think that that's why it's so cool. So you can see here, one of the first abilities you get is the Putrid Afflication, which gives you additional acid damage on your next weapon strikes. And I'll be doing a build on this obviously in the future as well. As with the Harrier Rogue, which is a rogue that's focused on using pole arms and has the finesse property put on any spears that you're using. So this one is also quite cool because typically the rogue would not use those weapons, but this version of it does. So it opens up some cool combinations with things like the Sentinel perk and Polearm Master. Again, Ker subclasses, the Ker collection part 1. There's part 2 coming, and Sathos is in my Discord server, so you can check that out in the description if you want to see any of the updates, because they'd be posting them in my Discord. So should just Sathos did a fantastic job with this mod. Next, we got ourselves the Cosmic Sorcery. I'm going to be focusing on the Sorcerer right now because Sorcerer is my favorite class, and I'll be honest, they got some of the best class mods. So with the Cosmic Sorcerer, you're focused on doing a bit of extra force and fire damage. Now, I also did a build on this previously, so you can check that out for a bit of further detail on that. But you get some cool force-based effects on this one, and a lot of unique abilities that you don't get in other classes. So you get like the Witness Infinity, Cosmic Ray, Spatial Rend, and you get the Cosmic Sorcerer Bloodline. You're connected to the astral plane. Here's some more spells that you do get with it. So you get like Accelerate, which is basically haste for 4 turns without getting the lethargy afterwards. Your Cosmic Ray will also scale up in damage. You can get things like the Solar Flare, which is a fire spell that hits in a straight line. Really nice. Time Stop, which you can stop all creatures within 8 meters to become frozen in time for 10 turns. You have the Increased Gravity spell, which can slow and knock targets prone and deal force damage to them. Not overpowered, but it's still quite fun to use. There's also a Black Hole spell, pulling everyone in. The Eviscerate, which is overpowered, 30d8 plus 120 force damage. You don't get their items though. If you use this, you just blast them to smithereens, which is the worst way to get blasted. There's also the Comet spell, which does fire damage and force. And then there's also, as you get higher in level, there's another one that's very powerful, and you can shoot 5 of them. So this is a fun class, unique animations for the spells and cool colors that you don't see on normal spells. You can see here, like the explosions are pink, blue, and many other colors. The Cosmic Sorcerer is a ton of fun, and I've done a build guide on it, so you can check that out for some further details on what to expect with this. This mod was made by Cam the Lit Fam. They did a fantastic job with this one. Next, we got ourselves the Blood Sorcerer. Now, I've covered the Blood Sorcerer in detail a few times. This mod is also available on console. It's extremely well done. This mod was made by Sturm1212. And it's focused about necrotic damage, and it's a high risk, high reward class. Most people have probably used this one, so I don't need to go too in depth with it, but it's about applying bleed to yourself so that you don't take extra damage from some of your spells. Well, some of them will still damage you even if you are bleeding, like the Blood Rebuke here, but you also get to recover health from these spells. You get advantage on attack rolls when bleeding, and eventually whenever the target's bleeding, you also get advantage on your spell rolls as well. And you can ignore resistance and immunity to necrotic damage, which is the biggest part of this, because even a single level dip in this is really strong, because necrotic spells suck. I'll just be honest, there's a lot of necrotic resistance in Baldur's Gate 3, so being able to ignore that is huge. This class, I've also done a build guide with the Dread Overlord Warlock, one of my favorite classes as well, subclass mods, and it pairs well because they're both charisma based and focus on necrotic damage. So yeah, Blood Sorcerer, absolute blast of a time. This is one of my favorite subclass mods because I love the Sorcerer, and it's much better than the Blood Mage mod that was released. I absolutely love this one. So yeah, they did a great job with this one. You also get some unique spells as you go higher in the levels. At level 5, you get a spell that can actually bind targets whenever they're in pools of blood and deal damage to them. And then you got a very powerful like delete spell at level 6 that's all based on that. And you can actually use these spells on other characters, so you don't even have to stay as a blood sorcerer to use them, which I think is really cool. And spells or mods do that. Next, we got ourselves the Divine Soul Warlock. Now, what this one does, interesting. There's two versions. One is a subclass. One is a standalone class. So the standalone class, basically what this gives is the ability to cast cleric spells alongside your sorcerer spells. So you can see here, you get your regular old cantrips. Unfortunately, no Mistress Spells compatibility on this one, but great selection of spells. The only issue is this one actually doesn't give you, like, if you want to take some of the cleric spells, you're a little bit bound because the sorcerer's biggest issue is that they don't get a lot of spells, and adding more spells to the list makes it tough to balance. I don't think this is a very powerful, I would say. Obviously, the sorcerer itself is very strong. You do get some other spells here too, as you can see, so you can choose some of these, but just the lack of choice in spells makes this a little bit more difficult. There is also another version. This is on Nexus mods, unfortunately not really the point of this video, but this one here will give you additional spells. So you get your normal 2 from the sorcerer, and it has Mistress Spells compatibility. And with this, you can also select cleric cantrips and cleric spells exclusively. So I like the Nexus mods version of it. It has the Mistress Spells compatibility too, so I would recommend that one if you're going to go for one of these. Next, we got ourselves the Gravity Sorcery, which is another fun one because it gives us a bunch of cool spells that you get unique to this, made by Acre 2, and they're awesome. They've done a lot of great things. They're also in my Discord, so shouts out to Acre 2 for putting in a lot of effort into the modding. But with this, the Gravity Sorcerer gives you a bunch of different options for like gravity-based spells that are force. So create an intense point of gravity that deals 2 to 8 force damage and possibly pulls in all creatures. I will actually be posting a build for this later today, so you can check that out if you want to see it in further detail. But it's mostly force damage, and you get, again, there's a lot of cool spells that come with this. So you got like the Gravity Field, the Call Meteor, Gravity Wave, and many other spells. But yeah, I'll be covering this in full detail soon, so you can check that out later today. Fantastic mod. That's a whole lot of fun. Next, we got ourselves the Oath of the Eldritch Hunt Paladin. I love this. I was actually using it on stream recently. Some people got to see that. I also did a build guide on it. So the Oath of the Eldritch Hunt gives you the Relentless Pursuer here, which you can mark your prey, and you get additional hit points equal to your charisma modifier when you attack them, and you get a bunch of cool effects too. So you get like a portal attack that allows you to teleport around to the enemies. So there's, I guess I should show you that, the Relentless Pursuer and the Oath of the Eldritch Hunt, which is, unfortunately, the Paladin gets to share its tenants, so you can either be the Vengeance, the Devotion, or Ancients tenants whenever you pick a Paladin subclass. But you also get the Oath, Channel Oath ability, so you can hunt your prey. So focus your sights on an enemy within 60 meters, do an additional 1d4 necrotic on them, and it scales as a cantrip, so it increases in damage. You can use a bonus action to teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space near the target. And you can also, if your prey falls before your merciless pursuit, you can apply that to another target and continue hunting them down. And Aura of the Eldritch Hunt gives you and nearby allies a bonus to attack rolls equal to your charisma modifier when dealing with aberrations, fiends, fays, celestials, and monstrosities, which is actually quite a few enemies in this game. What's fun about this is it's actually kind of based on Bloodborne, one of my favorite games of all time. So if you couldn't tell from this outfit, and I mean, it looks pretty Bloodborne to me, you can see that. Also, I guess in that same vein, there's also a Bloodborne outfit mod on Nexus mods that is really nice. So you can see here, Gale's got it on. It looks really cool. I'm a big fan of Bloodborne, so just wanted to highlight this one as well, just as a big fan of both of these games. But yeah, Oath of the Eldritch Hunt. What's fun about it is you can basically roleplay as like a blood hunter and go after aberrations and all these undead. So really fun subclass, highly recommend it. In the same vein of the Paladin, we also got ourselves the Oath of Conquest, made by Hex who has made some other mods that you may recognize, like the Circle of the Stars. And they have many others that are on Nexus mods that'll hopefully be coming to the in-game mod manager soon. This one's available on console too, which is pretty cool. But the Oath of the Conquest, it's basically about getting into fighting your enemies and being more relentless. It's kind of like the Vengeance Paladin in terms of how it can attack. You get in there, you got Armor of Agathis, a command for your level 3 spells, Hold Person, Spiritual Weapon, Bestow Curse, Fear, Dominate Beast, Stone Skin, and Cloud Kill and Dominate Person. It has level 20 abilities, so once you get to level 20, it has a Capstone ability, which is quite strong. Your channel divinity, or your channel oath here, which is the Chosen Adversary. So as a bonus action, you gain advantage on attack rolls made against a target for 3 turns. And when you hit the creature with a melee attack, you make it face a wisdom saving throw. And if it fails, it becomes frightened. Really cool. You also got the Conquering Presence, which you force the enemy that you can see within 9 meters of you to make a wisdom saving throw. On failed save, the creature becomes frightened of you for 1 turn. And then you also have the Guided Strike, which gives a +10 bonus to making an attack roll, kind of similar to the War Cleric. Aura of Conquest, if the creature is frightened of you, its movement speed is reduced to 0, and it'll take psychic damage equal to half your Paladin level. So at level 10 or 20, you get 10 psychic damage, which can be doubled with Resonance Stone. Really cool. Bunch of other effects, and it comes with its own subclass theme die. Havsglim did a fantastic job with this one. Just have to give a shit out there. They did a great job. Next, we got ourselves the subclass, the College of Dance Bard. Now, the Bard's an interesting one because there's a number of subclasses that are based around this. The College of Dance is actually based on, if I can show it off here, being like a monk mixed with a bard. So you get to do unarmed attacks, and you get to use your bardic inspiration die for the damage, so upwards of a 1d10. It also can use your dexterity for your attacks. You get agile strike, and you also get to perform a dance. It's pretty cool. So this functions like any other type of performance-based thing, like playing your lute or any other instrument. You can also add your dexterity and charisma modifier to your armor class, and you get advantage on performance checks as well. This is a fun one. I actually like this as a monk fan. It's not as powerful as the open hand monk, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it's still a very fun one to play as. So I like the College of Dance. This one's made by Chiz Freak here. You got the cool bardic inspiration, or bardic unarmed attacks there based off bardic inspiration. You can use your bardic inspiration, increase your movement speed by 4.5 meters, and disengage until the end of your turn. Additionally, you would get the ability to give this benefit to an ally after taking this as a reaction. So a lot of cool effects. It's almost like a more defensive version of the monk, but also with all the nice benefits that comes with being a bard, like the short rest and everything. So this one's a lot of fun. Next is one of my absolute favorites. This is the Dread Overlord. I actually included this in a video yesterday because I just love it so much. But basically what it is, so you can look here, the Dread Overlord. I've done plenty of builds on it. The Dread Overlord is the creator of this mod as well, so the Dread Overlord himself. You get a bunch of summons. You can create Crawling Claws. You can create this Skeletal Dragon. You can create this little Warlock here. You can create this Giant Skeleton, and you can create a Wisp, which you can also summon in a giant black tentacle thing that can attack. So the Skeleton Dragon, any of these, if they deal necrotic damage, whenever you deal necrotic damage, it raises a zombie that'll fight alongside you that fights without you having to put in inputs. It'll just attack the nearest enemy, which is really cool. So you can literally have an army of like 20 zombies on the screen. And then with this, you can also just summon in your extras, or you can reclaim their souls and then summon in these guys with it. So really cool. That's what the Warlock looks like. It gets Scorch and Array and some other effects. The Giant Skeleton. They also were very nice, the Dread Overlord himself, to put all of my builds in here that I've done on it. So I've done a number of them. There's Dread Overlord, level 20, Dread Paladin. I also did one with the Blood Sorcerer, so you can check that out too if you want to see another in-depth one. There's also a quest line with this. I actually think this might be my favorite subclass mod of them all because the class itself is so well detailed. You can see it has a bunch of different effects here with the subclass benefits and different spells that you get. You get to apply necrotic damage to your weapons. You get to summon in a Devil Dog. You get to summon in, you can make your weapon necrotic based even stronger with the Pact of the Blade. There's just so much to love with the Dread Overlord Warlock. I can't even encapsulate every great thing that I have to say about this mod. It's seriously just great. If you haven't tried it already, go download it. It's got 389 downloads, so a lot of people have tried it out, but if you haven't, give it a shot. Next, we got ourselves another Warlock subclass with the Hex Blade. What's cool about the Hex Blade Warlock is it gives you your ability to do Hex Blade's Curse. This mod will be coming to the in-game mod or coming to the actual game in patch 8. It'll be different than this one, obviously, but you can hex a target and bind your weapon. So you get Hex Blade's Curse. It gives you additional crit chance on the enemy. And then also the bind weapon will give you basically like the Pact of the Blade. But with this, there's also some different effects that we can get. So Hex Blade's Curse, it can upgrade itself. Summon Spectre, you can summon the soul of a perished target you curse to fight alongside your command, which is really cool. And also alongside this, there's a bunch of different Eldritch invocations here. So some of the ones that I really like, Eldritch Spear, which will double the range of Eldritch Blast. Obviously, that's extremely powerful. And then there's also the Eldritch Mind, give it advantage on Constitution saving throws to maintain concentration. I also really like I guess there's Undying Servitude. Once per long rest, you can cast Animate Dead without using a spell slot. Once per long rest, you can do Freedom of Movement without expending a spell slot. And also Lance of Lethargy, which your Eldritch Blast can reduce creatures' movement speeds, making it like a Ray of Frost. So there's a cool new Eldritch invocations, and these actually will apply to any of your, if you play any other type of Warlock, you can select those. Lockstock Rocket made this, they did a great job. Next, we got some very big class mods. These are made by Sumra Dagnoth here. They did such a good job with these. So this is the Fighter subclasses combined, the Monk subclasses combined, and the Barbarian subclasses combined. What this looks like is you got these incredible choices. So you can go with obviously your normal ones, but we also got the Arcane Archer, which is coming to patch 8. And this is like a version of it that's obviously going to be different from Larian's, but it basically gives you different arrows that do weapon damage plus additional damage and effects. You get 2 shots that you can do, so it's not super overpowered, but it's pretty fun for an archer class. There's also the Banneret or Purple Dragon Knight, which is like a buffer. Not strong. The fighter is best doing things that it likes, like bonking enemies as a battle master, but it's a fun one if you want to play with this kind of role. There's also the Brute, which focuses on hitting things until they stop hitting back, and this does additional damage with a weapon. Cavalier, which is focused on increased movement speed. And there's no horses in Baldur's Gate, but this one pretends. The Psi Warrior, which focuses on psionic energy dyes, which will give you additional effects, kind of like the Battle Master, but for like Lae'zel. I think this works well. Many get Yankee trained to become such warriors. The Rune Knight, which uses runes to empower yourself with the runes, the giants, allowing you to embiggen yourself, and many other cool effects. And the Samurai, which gives you a really fun, different choice with like being able to do like your fighting spirit and implaceable fighting spirit to overcome enemies. The resolve is nearly unbreakable, and the enemies in a samurai's path of 2 choices: yield or die fighting. Also have some other fighter mods, but this one's really well done. Again, made by Sumra Dagnoth. Also, there's a sharpshooter one there. I can't get it to appear for myself, but they all come with their own unique effects here that you can see. So I love this. There's just so much to do in this. Yeah, they even covered it in my videos there. Cool. But yeah, this is a great one. Also, they did a monk subclass video, or monk subclass guide, with things like the Way of the Ascended Dragon, the Way of the Kensei. I'll show off what this looks like. So you got yourself the Way of the Ascended Dragon, giving you a bunch of different effects here. So you can choose a Dragon Disciple and deal additional fire damage with your unarmed strikes or whatever type of damage you want to choose. You also can get the Breath of the Dragon, the Draconic Strike, and Draconic Presence, and the Breath of the Dragon. So whatever type that you choose. This is a cool one. There's also the Way of the Astral Self, giving you these astral arms, almost like Mr. Fantastic, these stretchy force arms. Very cool. Way of the Drunken Master, which is the one that's going to be coming soon to the in-game mod manager. This one's fun. You can do different attacks that target multiple targets. You also can get some benefits of being drunk, so that's fun. The Way of the Kensei, focusing on being a monk that uses weapon attacks. So this is a little bit different than what most would assume a monk would be like, because you can actually use things like swords with them. The Way of the Long Death, I know a lot of people are actually hyped for this one. You can actually do a huge area of effect fear attack with the Way of the Long Death. It's really cool, and I hope that this comes to console soon for the people that want to play with this one. Also get the Way of Mercy. So you manipulate life forces, and whenever you attack, you deal additional necrotic damage, and you can do like a multi-target flurry of blows. You also get a healing flurry, so you can use your bonus action to heal your teammates too. So this is pretty cool. It's a bit more of like a hybrid between the cleric and the monk. And then the Way of the Sun Soul, doing radiant damage. One thing that I love about this one is actually you can stack it with all the radiating orb gear in the game and just be a huge debuffer, giving like a -10 to attack rolls with a few punches. So this one's really cool. Radiant damage is fun for a variety of reasons. You can also stack reverberation with this really well. So love this class mod. Sumer Dagnoth, they did a fantastic job with this, and I also covered it in my video, so shout out to them. That's really great support. And they also did one for the Barbarian with a lot of classes that I know people want to see, so I'll show you that too. Unfortunately, certain class mods will actually override each other, so I'll just show you guys, I guess, what comes with it here. So you got the Wild Magic, obviously a regular one, but we got the Ancestral Guardian, the Battle Rager, which focuses on jumping and pinning your targets with spikes, kind of like a Wolverine build, the Beast, the Giant, the Juggernaut, the Storm Herald, my personal favorite because you can add additional lightning or fire damage to your teammates' attacks, and the Zealot. So you can see all the unique effects with these. I'll be covering these builds in detail at some point here soon because they are really fun to use. But yeah, here's the Battle Rager armor, can grapple targets. You got so many cool effects with these, so highly recommend checking all these mods out. They've been very, very well done. So just had to put a highlight to these because they're really fun. And you can make yourself really large with this. So you can see there, this is the normal, Giant's Havoc, Demigurge Colossus, and then both that and large. But yeah, this is a really fun one. I highly recommend trying these 3 class mods out because they offer so much. Next, we got ourselves the Circle of Stars, which is a cool one because this mod's also coming to Baldur's Gate 3 in patch 8. So with the Circle of Stars, you get your wild shape charge to go into starry form, and there's 3 different ones depending on what you want to do. So you got yourself the Archer form, the Chalice form, and the Dragon, and each of these has different effects. So the Archer will give you additional radiant damage on your ranged spell attacks, the Chalice will give you additional healing, and the starry form Dragon will give you advantage on Constitution saving throws, and you make Intelligence and Wisdom saving throws as a you have to roll a 10 or higher to save them, so much better on your saves there. All 3 of these are really fun, and you get this cool effect where your character looks like it's glowing like that. This mod will be coming to patch 8, so I don't see this coming to console if you're a console player, but Halves Glimpse also made this mod, and they did a lot of great things with their mods. Next, we got ourselves the Shadow Domain Cleric. Now, this is a fun one because the Cleric actually gets a lot of cool domains. So we got ourselves the Twilight Domain, we got ourselves Scorch Domain, Shadow Domain, and Gust Domain. This mod was made by Sriracha here, and they actually made a number of these. So if you want the Gust Domain, Scorch, or Shadow, depending on what you want to focus on, this one gives you a bunch of wind-based and movement speed focus. The Scorch Domain obviously is about fire damage, kind of like the Forge Domain. And then we also got ourselves Shadow. So you can see Shadow, Gust, Scorch. I also really like the Order Domain. I did a build on this one. And the Forge Domain's cool too. It's kind of another fire-based one. And the Twilight Domain, another fantastic mod. I did a build guide on this one as well, so you can check that out if you're curious. Basically, this one gives you additional, you can see things further away, up to 60 meters, additional initiative, and you can buff your teammates up with it. So love this mod. It's a really fun one. All the Cleric subclass mods are very well done, so highly recommend checking them out. Twilight Cleric too. This one is available on console, so that's cool too. Next, we got ourselves the Spellblade, and I think everyone knows the Spellblade because this one was added to console, and we're getting the Blade Singer. So you can see here the Blade Singer. Weirdly enough, if you start as a wizard, you can actually see the you get to see the Spellblade, but if you don't start as a wizard, it doesn't appear because we started as druid to show off that. So I can show you guys. Boom, you looking for this? There's the Spellblade. So you actually get some special effects like the finesse weapon parry. So if you're using one weapon with no shield and it's a finesse based weapon, you can actually parry attacks with it, and you get a bunch of cool effects. So this one's really fun. I am excited to see the Blade Singer come. The Spellblade is also very nice, so I recommend this one. You get a bunch of cool effects meant to focus on not just spell casting, but also attacking and doing flurries of blows with your weapon. So you can get a swift enhanced weapon, magic weapon here. I love this one. It's just a lot of fun. And another one that I unfortunately can't get to appear because I have other mods downloaded is the Horizon Walker Ranger. This one's available on console. I did a build on it. Basically what this does, you have like a distance strike, which lets you teleport around and fight enemies by teleporting and getting in close to them. The Tatums made this mod. This one is really fun as well, especially if you like the kind of like Ciri from Witcher 3 with the teleporting through portals. It's the easiest thing I can liken it to. It's a great class mod. And finally, we got ourselves the Path of the Skull Collector Barbarian. This is a cool one. It's also kind of bugged for me right now, so it's the only one that can appear for if I choose the Barbarian. So this one actually comes with a bunch of effects. So like as you're going through the game, you're going to be finding different skulls that you can collect that'll power you up. So you can see different enemies will give you different ones, and they give you different effects as you unlock them. So this is really cool. There's also a mod that allow you to basically take all the extra stuff that you get from this mod and get it in the tutorial chest as well. So you can see here, you get yourself soul binding charges, so you can get your additional benefits from it. The Fury of the Fallen, so driven by countless souls who have still thirst for vengeance. The Skull Collector answers a trance-like rage. The cries of fallen warriors, fueling their strength, deals additional 2 damage, basically like a normal rage. Spiritual nature of the skill does not block spell casting, however, because you do get some cool spells that you can get from it. And you get Whispers of the Grave. So the Skull Collector, it's an interesting one. You get a bunch of effects as you level up, and the skulls that you collect will give you different effects too. So that's really the big focus on this one, is just collecting the skulls, obviously, as the name implies. The subclass features, when down, automatically stabilize at the start of the turn. So there's some cool subclass features too, additional reactions, and many others as you level up and collect those skulls. So yeah, this one is a lot of fun. Highly recommend giving this one a shot. But those are what I believe to be some of the absolute best modded classes, subclasses in Baldur's Gate 3. I'm excited to see what 2025 brings, but I just want to cover some of these in retrospect of 2024. If I missed one of your favorites, let me know in the comments. I try to cover as many as possible, but there's a ton of mods, so just let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. Appreciate all the support. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you all in the next video.